Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
It is the Technology Show, where we translate geek
into regular speak.
Every kind of now and then week. So
almost every week.
Yeah, almost every week. Dude, sure. I'm still jet lagged. So we didn't have the show last week because I was slumming it. Visiting South Africa. Weird, man. I know we normally talk about the weather when we start off, but the weather's been shit wherever I've been, so we can leave it.
I thought you had pretty decent weather last week.
Actually, I had a heat wave.
I mean, we went back in winter.
Yeah, you said so.
It was like, you
actually had rain. You had rain and cold as well.
Yeah,
actually,
rain and cold. It was cold. It was cold enough that I had my winter hat on in 3 layers.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was in a heat wave with a car that had no air conditioning
in the wintertime. No, you're in summer.
No,
over there.
same, same, but different.
Summer,
no,
winter. End of winter.
Spring. What's it? Spring. Well, yeah, spring. Yeah. What was interesting was being back. Not much has changed except for the fact that things have got really expensive. I was like sitting, it's like $2 for a beer, and it's $12 for a steak, and it's like $4 for a beer, and $18 for a steak. It's about 30-40% in 2 years, right? I mean, it's just under 2 years since I've been back there. What was cool though is I went and chatted with Gareth. Shout out to Gareth Cliff at cliffcentral.com. Thank you. Where my radio career started was just nice. He actually acknowledged it, man. He was like, yeah, you were one of the first shows, and we just chewed the fat between there and here, and I think religion and politics came into it as it always does, and yeah, I left. One more big shout out, Mike Elton and his team at Europe. Yep. That's why I went there, was for training. Really cool platform. Guys, we're going to do some fun stuff with it here. So back to the show. Yes, no. You tell me.
Back to the show. My first question before we get into the first section, which everyone's waiting for. What were the phones?
What do you mean? What were the phones?
iPhone XS.
It had launched. No.
So the premium phones. Like what are people using? Because
it's the same as here, but it's normally about, I'm going to say, 5 to 6 months behind us.
Okay.
In this instance, the XS and XS Max were out.
Okay.
So that's like months behind us, 1, maybe 2. What you do need to realize, though, is the population size is 60 million versus our 25.
Yep.
But like 55 million people don't have money. So the smartphone penetration that has grown significantly was about 50% when I left. It's probably 80%. But because of the cost of data, people are also using very cheap phones, like cheap Android devices. And they are very data sensitive. I mean, I checked into a hotel and I was given a complimentary 100 megs. What do I do with that? I couldn't write book. 100 megs. Yeah. I laughed. I gave it to my dad. I was like, oh yeah, you use this.
So and that's what's interesting, because the Apple just launched the first ever dual SIM capability, which has been available for the last 5 years.
Africa's had
forever, right?
Quad SIMs as well.
Quad SIMs, and people here have to understand that we're forced into buying if you above 20 gigs. Right, you can get 50 gigs for
it's fairly cheap. It's affordable,
right?
Yeah.
And in a place where like people are like literally watching the clock to change which SIM they're using. Right. I mean, it's a different mentality.
Well, they use 3 still. 3 SIM cards.
3 SIM cards, and they'll also have multiple phones, right? So you'll have dual SIMs
if they have money.
Dual SIMs on a phone.
Otherwise, they switch their SIMs. Yeah, that hasn't changed.
I'm assuming you're seeing more like Oppo, more like Huawei.
No. Okay, so from that point of view, I understand the question. You will see the Alcatel, but as you know, Alcatel does an OEM type gig. Samsung owns South Africa, always has.
Samsung. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and remember, but they go down to the A, correct, and the Jet and all those things.
Yep.
You'll still see Galaxy S5s being traded. I mean, that's an old phone by our terminology. The Apple market is incredibly small. It's the designers and the business people and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But Samsung owns South Africa, and I would say Huawei is number 2. In fact, probably gives Samsung quite a good run for its money.
Yep.
Oppo's not there. ZTE's dabbled.
Mio?
No. They've also tried. But you'll see Nokia making quite a strong surge there because of their feature phone and obviously now with Android.
Yep.
So it'll be a big play for them. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And the only other bit of news before we get into the app of the week is Palm is returning.
I know.
With a literally palm-sized phone.
I know, but Palm... So people that listen to the show that are under, 30, probably don't even know what we're talking about, or 20. The Palm Pilot. That was before BlackBerry, right?
Fantastic
It
device.
is a fantastic device.
The original stylus.
I would actually probably want to own one. In fact, you know how I carry my BlackBerry as well?
Yeah.
I would probably think about like cheating on my BlackBerry for a while and carrying a Palm for every now and then.
It was the original stylus.
Very interesting to see. Yeah, that's right. That black solid stylus.
You take the notes out and then turned into the Trio.
100%. And remember, Apple tried with the Newton
and
against that.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that stylus.
The Palm Trio was like the first pre-smartphone phone. It was pre-BlackBerry.
That was the silver thing with like the stubby aerial. Yeah, I remember that.
Keyboard on it. It had the touchscreen. It wasn't Android, but it had apps.
No, it was like almost a Symbian type.
Yeah,
it was Palm.
It was Palm.
Yeah.
And this new phone, it's using a weird Apple Watch style honeycomb app.
Have you actually
layout.
seen pictures of the OS?
I have. And it's
Googling
literally
now.
like the size of like a long middle finger. Like it's that small, and it's meant to be like a companion phone. So it's like if you want to go out and party, like you leave your grown-up phone at home, you just take it and it does the basic stuff.
That one there. Remember, I've got a picture up for everyone that can't see us of the original Palm.
That's the old school.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd bring it up because this just got announced, and it's like, ooh, Palm's coming back. It was a big deal. It was like,
It actually is a big deal. You know where it's going to fail though, right? Is the developers. That's what's killed Migo, Tizen, Starfish, Mozilla's own version. The developers don't have time to design for anything beyond iOS and Android. It's just it. They just don't have the time. Okay, well, that was from Weather. Have you got the picture? Because I'm back in see it. I'm like trying to say, oh, that's actually quite sexy. That is very Apple Watchy.
It's.
I'll try to put that link up for the listeners later on when I tag out. Very sexy, actually.
Yeah,
the device. The
device
device looks like BlackBerry and iPhone had a baby.
Yes,
it does. Huh?
Yeah, it's like
they had a dirty weekend. Anyway, that's a very interesting play. And you say it's going to be Palm OS, so it's not going to be an Android kernel that the developers can port, because otherwise they're dead, man.
I think it's an Android kernel, but it's using kind of a Palm layer on top of it.
Well, that's fine if that's their inverted commas bloatware, right?
Yeah.
They're still running Android, then the developers can develop. Even Amazon, the mighty Amazon Fire and Kindles didn't take off because of, even though it was Android, you had to still take it through their store, and it's just one hurdle that the devs don't have.
App of the week. Dun, 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 dun.
We've never done that before. But that was cool. So this one is not going to take much time. I think when I mentioned it to you, you were like, that's not your usual style. But there's a story behind it. So the app of the week this week is called Chwazi. In fact, I want to say it. I want to say it in an African vernacular, which is probably Chwazi or Chwazi, like that. How's your ears there, Cam, from that one? Should I do it again? No. Like that? No. So Chwazi, Chwazi or Z. Chawzi. Chwazi. Now the story behind Chwazi is very simple. You've played rock, paper, scissors, right?
Sure.
Techies don't want to play rock, paper, scissors. They want to do things with tech. So many years ago, it actually was A and B. We were trying to work out which way to go. We'd done the A and B splits. We'd done the tests. And the feedback had literally come back identical. We had a 50-50 split. So we decided the art director would go against the technical director. And we're going to do rock, paper, scissors. And they said, no, we're not going to sell like that. And they brought this Chwazi out. It's such a simple app. You take your finger and you stick it on the screen at the same time. And little colors appear under your finger. And it randomizes and they flash and flash. And then it stops on one finger and that's the winner. You can go up to 5 fingers. You can even bring your whole tech team in as well and have a whole Chwazi experience. It gets an app of the week for a very simple reason. It does what it does, and it does it well.
Yep.
It's a simple app. It does what it does. It comes out with an output every single time. Its UI is easy, and it's light, and it's tech, and it's fun, and it's simple, and I'm jet lagged, so I couldn't find anything too involved. Chwazi, Apple and Android, and maybe one day on Palm OS.
Tried it, played it. It works.
Yeah.
I'll give it 4 stars.
That's what I'm saying. It's not something that it's the kind of thing you have if instead of flipping a coin, it's actually very conversational. So you can do 1 finger each, you can do 2 fingers each, but you can go up to 5 fingers. And then out of your 2 fingers, you get 2 shots at being right because it can still choose one random one. So that's it. App of the week, done. It is time for Screens with a Z because Mr. Sternberg is going to be doing the review.
Zed.
Okay, I'm going to jump in there before you do the review, and I'm actually going to call you out in front of all our listeners.
Call it out, man.
So a lot of women are cliched about handbags and shoes. You know, you always hear men talking about their wives have too many handbags or too many shoes, okay? You have never ever met an individual who has a fetish, craving, love, collection, habit, I don't know which word you want to use, for headsets. Except for the guy looking straight at me right now.
I'll take it. And
you can't deny it. That's why.
No.
We'll get your wife on the line if you do.
No. And, I think the main most important point of this is that there are so many options. And we've talked about wired versus wireless. We've talked about, full in-ear versus the around the neck ones. We talked about over-the-ear sport ones. We did a review of the bone conducting headphones. And so this is the next iteration because like my Pebble watch, which I've mentioned before and love.
And it's still going, huh?
Still going perfectly
still
fine.
Going. So it's
fully
not
waterproof, taken in the pool, actually measures my distance, tells me what's going on, my exercise. These are the SONY Walkman, and yes, they are Walkman, NWWS 623 or 625. Because there's no name on it.
Yeah.
Now,
but they're called Sony. What's it? Swim. What? What? You gave me another word.
I just said they're Swim with Sony.
Swim with Sony. That's probably better.
And the reason why, and this is, I purchased them after a review. I swim, and swimming in a pool is boring as.
Yep.
So, what better way to entertain myself than to listen to music?
So, for all the listeners. This is Aryeh's way of justifying spending money on yet another headset. For anyone that knows him or deals with us, we are always walking around with a pair of headphones around our head. We've always got the Jabras on, the 75s.
Yep.
I'm now using the earbuds.
65Ts.
And Aryeh, first of all, before you get on the review, because that's what the Screens is about.
Yes.
How many pairs of headsets do you have at the moment that you can think of at the top of your head?
Okay, I currently have.
The fact that you're thinking that long is already a problem.
Actual headsets that are in my ownership and in my property, at least 10.
Okay, that's probably like 8 more than most people.
It probably is.
Right?
However,
and you've got good ones as well. It's not like you've got the little shit that comes out of a phone, like those plasticky. You've got good headsets.
I've got a few decent ones. I've had a few winners, like the for exercise or general use, the LG Tone. Had them for like 3 years.
I remember that when I first met you, you had those.
Beautiful set of kit, easy connect, didn't have any issues. This takes it a step further.
So tell us about the Swim with Sony.
Swim with Sony, you've got, and this is this year's model, and these have been around for 2 years now. This is 4 gigs online, on board, so it stores 4 gigs of
hence the Walkman, right?
data. Yep, hence the Walkman. From a Bluetooth perspective, it's Bluetooth 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's quite good because that's the latest protocol.
Yep, and it's NFC, so you can actually tap it and connect it, so it's super fast. It's got a really easy way to just, if you have content stored on board, not just in a single folder, but multiple folders. So it's very easy to click one button, folder one, forward, back.
Can you picture Aryeh swimming now, like forgetting to stroke because he's clicking his headset? You know, guy drowned in the pool today. How? He was changing tracks.
So no. So I went in the pool. No. I went in the pool and I'm swimming and I was really upset because I waited for these things. I'd asked my friend, done the research. You have been using it, great, and they just would not stay in. And
because I was about to ask you how they clip and compare, because we talk about that all day long as well.
First time out swimming, they would not stay in. The sound was garbled. It just wasn't working. Finished my swim, got out of the water, realized I had them on backwards. So left and right, left.
As long as you don't put a budgie smuggle on backwards, I suppose that's all right.
No. So, it pays to look for the little L and the little R.
There we go.
All
right, so now that you've rectified the errors of your ways, let's talk about the things that are most important. Comfort, sound, and longevity, like battery longevity.
So battery is incredible.
Okay. Look, Sony's always had good quality products.
And these aren't little teeny things. There's a good amount of...
there's a big chunk of plastic there. Yeah.
From a comfort perspective, it's also quite comfortable. I'd say that I do need to push them back in the air swimming. And swimming fairly rigorously, so I'll have to push them back in 2 or 3 times, but they'll stay in for the most part. And the sound is, I'd say, 8 out of 10. I could deal with it being a bit louder, but the fidelity of the sound, the way it works in the water.
So is there no noise cancelling? You can still hear the splashing in that?
It has both. So it has noise cancelling and it has one where you can listen to the outside. And it's really meant more for an all-terrain, all-weather sports wearable sound device. For the water, it has the actual rubber ear tips that go in your ear,
and they lock.
They're locked onto the device itself, and they're blocked, so there's no holes. So that's how the water doesn't get in. Yeah. So you actually pull these off and change them when you want to use them for other exercise or non-water activity.
So how does the sound work with water then?
That's what I'm saying. So it's a little bit blocked. It's not nearly. It's not.
I suppose they have to, right? Otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Salt water's fine.
Okay.
You just have to.
You have to always rinse with.
You have to rinse them off.
And for any listeners, when you read about things that are waterproof, I'm not talking about just headsets, phones, headsets, cameras. Salt water is not your friend.
Yeah.
So you put anything in salt, even swimming pools with chlorine, you should always wash your devices off properly.
Yep.
It's just going to go to good management.
It has a little charging base, so it's a little bit cumbersome. Yeah. Okay. So this charging base thing, you slide it in and then you charge it there.
Can you do it with just a micro USB? Because that's a fail then if you're away and you don't have your base.
You have to bring the base.
Okay.
Base.
It's like the watches, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. You have to carry your charger.
Same thing. The one thing I will say is that there's this weird rubber stringy connector thing that goes between the two, and you do need that. I don't know exactly what role it plays, but it helps it stay on better.
It's the weird rubbery stay on better thingy strappy thing. Yeah. That's what it does. Yeah. That's what it's called.
Yeah. But, in terms of
they look good though.
They look pretty good. And in terms of what's available for swimming or for water sports.
And you've been looking for a while, hey? You've said, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Absolutely.
Don't do it.
And, I wanted to get the Jabbers. I looked at a couple that were Bluetooth only. We had the conversation. Where do you put your phone? Where do you put your device? Yep. So I do have a waterproof wrist pouch kind of thing, and I have a waterproof phone.
You don't want to swim with it though, right?
No. What do you
that was always the failed industry. And that's where Walkman as a brand, again, anyone under 30 probably doesn't remember Walkman. But as a brand that they've kept registered, it makes sense. Yep. There it is. Have you used them outside of the water?
I have.
And comparison, A, comfort, B, sound, and that even if you change the rubber thingies to loud through, would you advocate or rank them compared to some of the better ones that we have? Or
I would. What the fail is, there's no microphone. It's not
a
pure Walkman. It's a pure sound.
This is one way only.
Yeah. So that's. And that, for those that are out there looking for that sports activity thing, that's it. But yeah, no, I definitely rate them. And still do your research. Keep your eyes out because there's more and more they keep coming out. But also that's
what this show's about, right? It's about finding the right tech for the right situation. Mm-hmm. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. We know that firsthand. But very cool. I'm looking at them. Look good. Price-wise, I assume fairly fair?
Yeah, it's about $250.
It's not bad.
Not
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, it's
They are going down in price though, because they do keep launching new ones, and there's last year's models about $99.
welcome to tech.
However, I would definitely not get the last year's model. They're not as highly rated.
Okay.
Yeah, never use them, obviously.
That's the thing with reviews, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the internet's out there for a reason, not just porn.
Yeah.
You know, we can actually find stuff.
Yeah.
And Palm OS pictures. Palm, porn. Oh, come on, work with me on this one, man.
Yes, Brett. All of the above.
Do we wrap it there on screens with a Z?
Wrap it with screens and Z.
We are going to do the X-rated thing.
XR.
XR, extended reality. In fact, before we go into extended reality, and given that our guest is going to be talking about things that involve profiles and data and that, Google Plus, no more. Done, finished.
Google Plus.
When do they sunset it? Or is it off? Done. Because they had a hack or something and they were like, oh, well, no one's using it anyway, so let's turn it off. Or was that unfair? I mean, they had a few million users.
They had look, Google Plus, like Google Wave, like
Goodbye.
a couple other things. Allo. They haven't cut it yet, but
Yep.
it's still there.
Well,
Don't
they'll cut
know
it
why.
next.
Why would you have an assistant, or why would you have Allo if you have an assistant?
And Duo as well. It's also...
What is Duo?
I don't know.
The
don't know.
video thing, right?
Yeah.
Look, Google Plus was an attempt to be an alternative to Facebook.
I also looked at it as also like your more modern WhatsApp, or your better answer to WhatsApp. Because you could actually share content that before WhatsApp could.
And Google Your Business and MySpace. I mean, it was kind of around all that time. When
See
you
what
could
you're
have
doing
your
though,
own.
like Google trying to be everything to everyone instead of
Absolutely.
just sticking to the shit that they do.
And that's where, Google's got so much data about people, about
Yep.
what they're doing, from whatever side of the business. And internally, we know that they haven't connected those dots yet, and there are certain reasons why they can't legally. However, just from a pragmatic perspective, image recognition, image and video recognition, all the geolocation data, all these things, like why would you not create a social network that is just tailored to me, make recommendations for me, and show me what I want to see?
Or even
Facebook's
better,
failing at it.
plug into the existing networks and see that
Exactly.
like we've
Pull
seen.
it, There was this one thing for a while. It was like a Google homepage with Google News, and you basically populated it with all the different news headlines that you wanted. I don't know what happened to it, but
That wasn't part of Wave, was it?
It wasn't. It was a
It
separate
was
thing.
after Wave. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then it started learning.
Yeah.
And then started delivering you news of relevance.
And it was good. I've got my Google News feed that comes on.
It's not the same.
Comes on Android.
You get that like notes and that when you start your day as well.
Yeah, I like the Google News feed.
You like everything, Google.
I-
As fanboy as I am on Mac, you just got to admit you're equally a fanboy on Google, except for the Pixel.
Yeah,
Only because of the stylus. If they had a stylus, you would probably carry it.
I ranted on the new Gmail, but
The new Gmail is awesome, and I'm loving it.
I've become a fan. It takes some getting used to. It's like, what if Apple came and just changed your UI? You're just like, what the? But then everything was awesome, and you're like, what the?
Yeah,
Right?
they can't take that chance. They're actually stuck in the way they are. They can only better. They can't really change it.
Apple Watch.
Yeah.
They had a little weird
Yeah.
hexagon-y thing, and then when they started demoing the new iWatch 4, the new either the OS or the Apple Watch 4, they were like,
4.
"Oh, look, we actually have this list of stuff, and you can scroll through it, and it's actually useful."
Yeah.
As opposed to
The
trying
funny-
to decipher what the heck am I looking at thing.
Yeah, that's what do you call it? When design trumps function, or function trumps form, or form trumps function. I don't know, but yeah. We talked to X-Ray. We stuck on Google. But there's a lot of Google products we should review, and there's actually websites.
Okay.
Where are you? VR, AR. What do you got?
Are we starting in AR?
Yeah,
I'm
you
happy
start.
with AR.
AR. Go for it. What you got?
So I think the first one is that there is a new AR smart glasses that have launched.
Do you mean the ones by Colgate Palmolive?
No,
Oh.
the ones by Epson.
Oh, well, that's interesting because I've got a similar story, but you tell me yours.
So you and I saw the version 1 of these from our friend
Yep.
Roger Lawrence, which kind
Those are
of
way back, huh?
Yes, maybe a year ago or something.
Yeah.
It basically gave you a projection of what was the equivalent of like a 1 meter screen in like a foot in front of your face, something like that. I just messed up metrics, but that's okay. This version 2 has USB-C and HDMI compatible, so that you can plug in an external video source. Why? Because you may have a pocket PC on your hip, or you may have a device on your back.
True.
And so you're using it for, that function over fashion of fixing an elevator, you're out in the field, fixing an
Wouldn't you
an
just
airplane.
don a pair of MR glasses and connect?
These are much smaller. These are like Google Glass versus, HoloLens or something like that.
So they've gone that route.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not. So the difference between these.
We talked about routing and routing, by the way, in South Africa as well. We had a chuckle about that route. Anyway.
So HoloLens, Meta, and now Magic Leap.
Magic Leap, yeah.
They use some form of inside-out tracking, so you can actually place objects in the physical space you're in and lock them. And so this doesn't have that. This is just a screen in front of you displaying information, much more like Google Glass, where you have that access to that information. So it's like playing a video or something else in your space. It's missing that anchor.
All of our tech seems to be missing that aspect. I mean, when you said that now, the article I have here is from Colgate-Palmolive. These are people that make shampoo and
dishwasher soap. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And they've teamed up with RealWear to bring the HMT1 smart glasses. We've talked about this before, to 20 different manufacturing facilities in 11 countries. So my message to you, Mr. Tim Cook, and even you, RV, Sir RV Rhodes, John, whatever your name is, losers. They should have brought the AR glasses out, because now everyone is playing in that space. So Apple's going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to acquire, or they're going to have to just make it sexy, which is maybe their game plan. But the fact that you've just read a thing about smart glasses, and it's from Epson, who's a printing company. I'm reading a thing about smart glasses from a shampoo and dishwasher company. We are going to start seeing the wearable everywhere soon. It's like the next year.
I have number
mainstream.
3.
Tell me.
Number 3.
Tell me.
Synchronize AR.
I saw something about this. Tell us.
The first synchronized, comprehensive, real-time AR experience for neurosurgery.
That I like.
Yeah. Now, what it does is neurosurgeons wear the glasses.
Yeah, I've seen that. They have that scope with little...
They have a scope, and then what you're seeing is not only what you're seeing from the scope to look down into wherever you're doing the work, but it will do a 3D render of what you're working on in real time. And so observers externally can see that 3D activity, what you're doing. The doctor themselves that are doing the surgery can also see what's happening. So it's much more visibility and transparency into where the surgery is happening.
I thought what you were about to say, and it would be amazing if they can do this, is imagine if they can put the vitals and that on as well. So instead of the doctor who, let's be honest, brain surgery requires a little bit of concentration. I don't expect him to be playing Pokemon Go while he's doing it, or she's doing it, right? So you've got your anesthetist, you've got everyone that's telling the doctor data while he's doing it or she's doing it. The point that I'm making is when you're concentrating that hard, how much of your external data are you taking in, because your eyes are dominating the 5 senses? Now, if they've got these glasses and he's looking at what he's doing in the brain, and vitals and that kind of information, blood pressure, because he's near a vein, all starts to pop up, it's probably going to make him more efficient, right? Because he doesn't have to listen for it and then think and process. He just carries on because he's visualizing it. That is a great example of augmented reality, where you're actually layering data onto a real subject.
Now they're calling
I like that. Good job.
They're calling it mixed reality.
Yeah, you see, now they've just gone and undone it, right?
Yeah, it's like
it's augmented reality.
Yeah. Why would you call the glasses synchronized AR when you're talking about mixed reality?
Yeah, okay.
Synchronized
So,
MR.
guys, you just lost a point, man.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting the bell, but I did like that. I'm going to talking about the fact that we augment what we see and how. I think I posted it, but someone shared with me the concept of the swarm and drones. Did you see that video that I stuck up on, I think it was Facebook, where little drones are carrying payloads and they're designed to identify their targets. Now, that is augmented reality.
Oh, the guy on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, for the listeners that haven't seen the video, this guy standing up on a stage pretending to be a presenter at a weapons exhibition, and he has this little handheld drone, and he lets it go, and it's flying, and it's reading data about the guy, and you can see it on the screen. It's showing male and height and this. That's AR. It's augmenting data, but in an artificial intelligence way. And what they refer to as the swarm is they take thousands of these little drones with these little payloads, and they just deploy them in a swarm, and they just go and take out humans that are targets. But the way the video ends, because this was a whole video promoting why we shouldn't go down this route of robots and singularity, it takes out university students. You just see it going into the unis and taking out kids. So the concept of drones and swarm have now become a military product, or they've always been in the military with payloads. But if we see that kind of future, we won't see that kind of future. It'll be quick. But that it's a great example of augmentation. Now we're giving machines the ability to add data into their virtual spaces or real spaces, sorry.
Yep.
So I thought I'd just include that in my AR chat.
So this is, I'm moving into XR.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the time. I don't know how much more time we've got, but
We've got to keep it tight if we want to get to the end of the show.
Yeah. So we have a guest as well.
Yep.
I think this is an area where we're going to see more of, and we're getting to this point where I'm going to call this a hashtag fail.
A hashtag fail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw news that Vimeo has laid out a how-to manual for the average person to create a 3D video of themselves. The average person. Now it says, this may be off-putting to some, but you do need a device like a Xbox Kinect or a RealSense scanner. You also need coding capability.
Of course, the average person has all of that
Of course.
in their bottom drawer.
Of course. Now, they do give you the instructions of how to set it up and then live stream or pre-record and then put it into Vimeo. However, what's missing is, why would people do this? How many people are actually going to produce quality content? How many people have the devices to actually go in there and see it? And then you have to market your content to those people, which you can do.
But you can do it with a phone and YouTube.
Yeah, you can do it on
Straight
YouTube.
up.
And so, okay, yes, you could then potentially go and create some content which might be useful for the likes of a Facebook, getting to Facebook Spaces. Ish. Even, not even there.
Yeah.
And this is Vimeo. So it's like, you're going to go into Facebook Spaces, place a Vimeo player into your Facebook Spaces so you can watch 3D content.
It's not going to happen.
It's just too hard, too much.
It's not going to happen.
What we need, Vimeo and everyone, is either create a public access point where I can go in and create that content, like a 360 green room, or make it even easier. And on the next generation of devices, you're putting 2 cameras on there. Just give me the ability to scan or set up 2 cameras at the same time so I can get a 360 view of myself.
Yep. Nokia tried that. Remember the Frontier, whatever they called it. You're never in the picture. Now you can be, and it takes a side by side. But they're thinking the right way. Well, that's what we need, is that someone needs to take the picture. Make sure. How does that someone get in the picture? 360 cams?
Yep. Well, the new Pixel 3 has the wide angle front facing selfie lens.
Oh, okay.
So it's got 2
you
lenses
can
on the front,
get
3 on the back. Yeah.
3 on the back.
I think so.
Because 2 wasn't good enough, right?
No, but it's actually, so it's got 3. It's got the infrared, it's got the normal one, and then the wide angle one.
Oh, God.
Yours does as well. Mine does as well. I've got
I've only got 2 on the back of mine.
I've got 2 in the back and then the depth sensor. And on the front, I've got 2
I've
as
got
well.
4 on the front because it's the Face ID.
Yeah. Actually, I've got 3.
Just in case anyone didn't know, I have an iPhone.
10s.
S.
And how amazing! Well, if you,
It's amazing. Don't get me started again. We're going out of time.
No.
I have one fun thing on VR. There's a group of third-year students in Japan that have created a VR roller coaster inside their classroom, and it's part of, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Bankasai, which is their cultural festival. But basically, they've used Minecraft. So they've used the whole engine and world of Minecraft and created like this blocky roller coaster experience that you can immerse in. Why I thought it was good is that varsities are now encouraging students to build in a virtual world. Anyone who still thinks this a fad, please tune out now and unsubscribe. You're definitely not our audience. VR is not going anywhere. This is definitely the future, and if it's a roller coaster, get on or get off and stay off kind of vibe, right?
Yep. I will do one little bit of VR news, and then we can
move back on. In fact, we'll get to our guests because we are going to run out of time. What's your session?
Old or young, if you've experienced or seen Twin Peaks, it's weird.
Laura Flynn Boyle.
Crazy stuff.
Great show.
That backwards.
Oh, you mean there was a show as well? I was just watching her. Sorry. Okay.
Twin Poiks.
Twin Poiks.
Twin Poiks.
Were you watching this in Boston?
No, there's going to be a VR experience in Twin Peaks brought to you by Collider Games. It'll be based on the 2017
They got an Emmy
season.
Award nomination.
Yeah.
This game.
And it has you have to break out of the Red Room just like Special Agent Dale Cooper did, and has a whole bunch of other funky Twin Peaks stuff. So that's the kind of thing I'd like to see. I'd also like to experience an MC Escher kind of zone where it's like everyone can go and be upside down and crazy,
I don't know who MC Escher is. I'm sorry, should I?
Maybe. It's MC Escher does these crazy drawings that just defy gravity and defy space and time. So there would be like a stairwell and someone walking upside down and right side up.
Yeah, I know which
crazy
ones those on. Yeah. I didn't know it was MC Escher. But I'm sure that's based on someone else. I've seen the old versions of that. I know.
No, this is old. It's old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna have one. I've got one more piece of news, and that's only because there's a tie to your side. But Tobii, eye tracking software, has signed an agreement with an unnamed, inverted commas, leading VR headset manufacturer. So you can give a shout out. You've got some ties over there on Tobii as well.
So I'm going to give a shout out to my cousin Aaron Sternberg. What's up? Sternberg's in the house.
No, they're not. Oh, well, you are.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the unnamed one, but they do have a tie-up with HTC Vive.
Well, when you say leading VR headset manufacturer,
you'd have to question which one.
Kind of three, right?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I was never told not to. But what they said is that they actually retrofit the eye tracking directly into.
Now that makes sense, right? I mean,
headset.
if you can see for future eye control technology where the eyes move.
It's not a strap-on. It's actually connected.
You're talking about Twin Peaks and a strap-on in the same 30 seconds.
No, look.
Boy, do we have to wrap this segment up? But yeah.
The one thing where it's very, very, very interesting is it's eye tracking, and we had spoken with Peter Wilson about being able to look and see where people are.
Correct. That's why I'm bringing it up.
It's also eye movement control,
and that's what I'm saying. If they can start learning from this one, even help game developers or content creators predict how people's eyes move around based on previous stuff.
Not only what they're looking at, I look to the right and something, you move your
and
character.
You move
to
with your eyes.
To the left. Yeah. So like where you look is where you go, that kind of a thing. So if you move from controls into gestures and eye movement and eye control, that's the new UI.
Yeah.
Voice, hands, and eyes.
Sounds awesome.
Get rid of all the other stuff.
That's a great way to wrap up extended reality.
That extended the reality all the way to the moon.
So we are at that time of the show again.
Not the top of the hour, the end of the hour.
The end of the hour. That's actually a better word than the top of the hour.
Absolutely.
So we're at guest of the week.
Who do we have this week?
We have Ben Sharpie Sharp, or just Sharpie. Which one do we go by, Ben?
Let's go with Sharpie. Everyone does tend to call me Sharpie, and
I thought we had to be mates first before we're allowed to call you Sharpie.
No, not at all. Okay. Quite often when anyone calls me Ben, I actually look over my shoulder and go, who are they talking to? And then I suddenly realize, it's obviously me. So let's go with Sharpie.
Sharpie it is. Head of Revenue and Operations at a company called Purprofile.
Absolutely, that is me. So
I'm going to dive in before we even get into Purprofile. Job titles all over the place. You've got CMO, CIO, CTO. What was it? There was
Oh, we've heard,
chief
yeah.
everything officer or
Chief
something like
Growth
CE.
Officer.
that. Chief growth officer.
Yep.
Just 15 seconds. Revenue and profit.
Revenue and operations.
Revenue and operations.
No, I'm break down revenue versus profit.
Oh, right,
I know
okay.
what it is. Brett knows. You know what it is. But if someone comes in and says you're a revenue officer, what does it mean?
What does it actually
Yeah,
mean?
what does it mean?
Let's call it a glorified salesperson for the time being. So, listen, I've been in sales for a long time. Okay, let's call it about 20 years.
Okay.
I would say that is probably my trade.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the majority of my time in sales has been involved in digital media and ad tech.
Yep.
Having worked at Yahoo in the early 2000s, then I started my own business called Allure Media in 2007.
Yeah.
Launched AdRoll into Australia and ran that for 4 years from 2014. So
That's where I know you from.
that's exactly
That's it.
right.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a job title being head of revenue and operations, it is a role which is managing our customer lifecycle journey from when we first reach out to them, how we acquire and engage those prospects who will hopefully become customers, how we deliver a fantastic service and solution for them, and then deliver strategic value for them over the long term. I think in any other business, you would probably call a job title like this Chief Revenue Officer or Chief Customer Officer. I don't think any of us should be too caught up with an actual job title itself.
No.
It's more about the value that you actually deliver.
Well, this is really interesting because we were just talking about before we got on, and your customers belong to different segments, and it's really important because the value that Purprofile brings to the market, it's not just selling a service, right? It's about enabling and enriching and creating something that is not available simply in a walled garden Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about Purprofile. What is it? What is the history? Where, what are the things you're doing now that are just really exciting?
Yeah, absolutely. So Purprofile is at its core a data and insights business. We're a market research business. We have in Australia a panel of about 200,000 Australians that have told us a lot about themselves. Those people tell us everything from, do they own a pet? Are they buying life insurance this month?
Yeah.
This is an all ages show, by the way.
Yes.
Careful what they do tell us.
No. Everything is well and truly business or product specific and heavily controlled. Yeah,
it's not that kind of show, guys. We're not going to tell you what Australians are thinking after midnight.
No, we won't be doing that. But what we've done with our panel is that we've benchmarked the composition of our panel of a couple 100,000 Australians against the Australian census, and we've tried to build a panel as representative of that as possible by continually asking our panelists questions about themselves.
Yep.
We have probably some of the richest first-party data about a consumer audience in the country, and as a result of that,
I'm going to use that as a quick interlude. First-party data, second-party data, third-party data, and just doing the translation of geek into regular speak.
Yep.
First-party data means we know who you are.
We know something about you from firsthand. And first-party data has actually two different flavors, right? First-party data could be, I have actually told you about myself and I've registered my details somewhere. So I've filled in a form and I've opted in to say, yes, you know about me and you can use my details.
And this brings us to that evil GDPR and Protection of Information Act kind of stuff.
Well,
because that's where everyone's jumping up at the moment, right?
That's correct. But then there's another version of first-party data, which is behavioral-based data, which is, through my experience at AdRoll and in the world of ad technology, if I or any consumer goes to a website and they navigate around a particular website, they're dropping bits of info about themselves on some things that they may be interested in, and there's inferred intent there.
Yep.
What that means is that if I go to a retail site, let's say I go to the Iconic, and I go to a page which has men's shoes on it, I will be profiled as someone that is likely to buy men's fashion. So that when I then go out into the rest of the world of the World Wide Web or on my mobile, I could be served an ad with men's shoes on it or something similar from the Iconic. That is leveraging first-party data.
Totally. Now, I think that was kind of the inference of what Purprofile is doing for the customers who are the end customers, right? Who are receiving those targeted ads and something that is more meaningful for them. That's where I think Purprofile distinguishes itself from other platforms. The data you just described, I think arguably the programmatic space would call it third party, right? Yeah, I don't know who you are. I know that you showed some interest or you've done something that categorizes you as someone that looks like this, and I'm going to go model other people against you that look like they did the same thing. Or I know who you are, and I'm going to say, well, that guy, I think it's a guy. I'm pretty sure.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
Oh, no, I know.
Do I have to prove anything?
I definitely know Brett's a man. But it's. I think it's kind of like this is where a misnomer in this whole space is that someone comes out and they show intent because they stopped off somewhere. It could have been an errant click. It could have been someone else using a device where they were. We have familiarity with platforms like ComScore or others that use biometric data to actually determine who specifically is using a particular device. And that's not always even correct. I think the difference is that what we categorize as first-party data under GDPR or what was the one you mentioned?
GDPR is a framework for ensuring that consumers' data consumers can control their data. So if I'm going to opt my data or information about myself into a particular offer or to a particular business, if I then want to stop sharing my data with that particular business, they must destroy it and opt any on sale of my data out from any other third parties that they might have sold.
That's where it gets interesting, hey? It's like once you've sold it off to someone. So let's say, I'm not talking about you as your company, but you sell data that you've collected onto a third party and you've told them you're going to do it. It says there, we might share your data with third party. How hard it must be to now be able to go, hey, Aryeh, you know that database I sold you last year? The one name on like line 3082, just take it off for me, please. Yep, sure. It's going to be tricky, right?
Anyone that plays in the data management space, irrespective of whether you are a brand, a data management platform, a DSP, a website, you hold a consumer database because you happen to be a retailer and you've collected people's, customers' data, there has to be a huge amount of rigor around how you treat that data. And also, if someone comes to you and says, hey, you know what, I may have shared my data with you 6 months ago. I'm receiving offers from you which I really don't want to receive anymore. Can you remove me? You must remove them. And if you happen to be a business that then on-sells those data points to other people, there now needs to be a process for advising those third parties that you need to clean these records. Absolutely, it's going to be messy. Now, not only is it going to be messy, but you would have to think there is...
he says this.
Absolutely.
There's a business opportunity here.
There is an opportunity in two ways. There has to be an opportunity for data management platforms of some flavour that can help update data records. But there also is a great opportunity for those businesses that have best practice, that do manage consumers' data in a really effective way to promote themselves as being really effective and considerate of how people share their data as well.
Well, I think this is where Purprofile comes in. From the early days, what really was, I'll say sexy, because I did find it sexy, because I find tech sexy. Strangely.
I was going to say you're strange that way.
Yeah, strange.
Bits and bytes. I'll just leave it there. I look for.
Yeah, but it was the mix between, understanding the content being consumed, the context that people are in, and then collecting data about people who are willing to give it, right, around specific context. So, we mentioned before, we know that they may have a dog or a cat, but it's the ownership of the dog or cat in context of the content they consume. And that's where the power is, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And some of the work that we're doing is with, publishers at the moment. And what we are enabling them to do is, let's say as an example, if you look at a finance page on a, something like news.com.au, the inference is that either this is a business, someone that's interested in, business services, or they are someone that's looking for a new home loan. Now, that's not always going to be the case, but if you can start to create a conversation with that consumer when they're on a finance page to say, hey, why are you here? Are you interested in, applying for a new home loan? What are the things that you might be interested in? How much would you like to be borrowing? Is it to refinance or is it to buy a new house? If you can build a really effective picture of that consumer, not only based on the context that they're in, but by getting that consumer to tell them about yourself, then not only can you build a deep relationship with that particular consumer, but you can then use that to present that consumer with relevant offers that you know they will be interested in, hopefully at a time that is most relevant. Now, is it going to work 100% of the time? No, but the world of programmatic media works on the law of averages, right? And if you can increase the average or the rate of someone likely to respond to a particular offer that they've seen because the context is relevant, the creative they've seen is more in line with what they're thinking about, it's at the right time of day, and it's at a time of year that they are actually ready to purchase, then you start to increase the chance of someone wanting to respond favourably to an offer like that.
Yeah.
Sharpie, tell me, we're always happy to give the companies a punt, and as head of revenue, that's definitely your job. But what fires you up? You've mentioned AdRoll, you mentioned that you had another company before that. Why are you in this space? What are your fun things in this data and people digitizing space?
Yeah. If you have a look at all of the stuff that I've done over the past 10 to 12 years, I love taking on big challenges, right? So that's probably the first thing. And the way that has probably manifested itself has been through launching businesses, so starting businesses up from scratch. In doing that, I actually love the buzz of, creating something new or finding a new and disruptive way of doing things. And that's probably represented in a number of the startups that I'm also involved with. So I actively invest my own money into startups in the technology space. And the reason why I love doing that is not only to uncover a new and disruptive business idea and an opportunity in market, but to blend great pieces of technology with awesome people. And if you can help your teams and the teams that you recruit develop to go on their advanced career growth and that type of thing, but get them to work in an environment that is disruptive and is fast moving, is doing something new and different, and it's actually providing value to a new or an existing customer segment that wants something new from you. That's the stuff I absolutely love doing. And that can be done with both a brand new piece of business, like a brand new piece of technology, but it can also be done with an existing business that is going through change. And if you think of where Purprofile is at the moment, it is a business which is absolutely going through change, both because of market conditions, but also because of the business itself and the greater emphasis that just about every marketer in the world is placing on the value of the data that they need and the data that they are prepared to share.
We're getting towards the top of the hour now, so we're at the beginning. What do you say? The beginning of the hour, the near the hour? Can we chat about some of those quickly? In summarizing.
Absolutely.
Yes, no, it's up. It's up to you. We've got a couple of minutes left.
Yes. So in terms of my...
There's a sales car, right? Yes, damn it. It's got my 15 minutes of fame.
Yep, absolutely. So you mean the businesses that I'm involved with? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actively involved with 4 businesses on the side. So I have my side hustle.
I know he's married and got kids as well.
And I'm doing an MBA and doing a whole bunch of other things. So if you want to think about being hyperactive, that's me. So, but having said that,
he's
when
the
it comes
poster child for Ritalin.
Yeah, no, not quite. I'm the poster child for calendar management and time management.
There we go.
So everything is very much organised. It needs to be. So 4 active investments at the moment. My most favourite business at the moment, not that I don't love all of my children.
Yep.
If you want to have a read of Startup Smart from last week, you can have a look at one of my articles, which is comparing whether you should have a favourite child or a favourite startup. And I think we love them all equally. We just happen to love some equally more than others at different times of the day or week. And the business I've been involved with most is a business called Audience Republic. Audience Republic is a technology platform that leverages social media data to help power word-of-mouth marketing for the music event and festival space, collect first-party data, gamifies the usage of that, and then plugs into the ticket sellers to help ticket sellers actually sell more tickets. Awesome business. We've raised a lot of
Wasn't
money.
that on Shark Tank?
No, that was not on Shark Tank. We've been we've raised money, raised a fair bit of money over the past 2.5 years from angel and seed investors.
Okay.
And
I remember seeing something. The guy was a psychiatrist, or whatever. He was a DJ. He was all about DJ gigs. Sorry.
So Jared, who's the CEO and founder, actually, younger bloke. He's about 28 now. But when he about 10 years ago, he went and put on a bunch of his own music festivals. Did his first one, made a lot of money. Put in his second one, lost $20,000.
Yeah.
And this was $20,000 loss on a music festival is actually not a big loss, but when you're 19,
it's a huge
that's
loss.
a huge amount of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah. And he went, God, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And the big problem for music festivals is that they need to book their acts 12 months in advance.
Okay.
And they have a significant cost up front. So if they can guarantee ticket sales 9 to 12 months out, it reduces their risk. So this is the premise behind Audience Republic, and
very cool.
Works with probably 50% of the music festivals in Australia and growing its international
So
presence.
when we're looking for tickets for music festivals, I'm definitely going to hit you
Sharpie's
or
again.
Jared. No, Jared.
Speak to
Go
Jared.
We'll go through Sharpie. We have to get him on the show, and
Yep.
there's definitely a couple that I've got my eyes on.
Yep, absolutely.
We've got to wrap it up. Is there another second favorite child that you want to quickly say hello to?
They're all my favourites, but the other one, which
Maybe
is
list the
very
other-
early
list the three
stage,
and we'll follow them.
very early stage, Brandolo, which is a marketing platform using AI or machine learning to help power marketing for small businesses, and the third one, which I will mention pre-launch, is called First Rung, helping millennials save for their first home deposit using micro-saving and gamification. So
Nice.
they're the ones worth mentioning at the moment, but thank you for having me.
No, awesome. Well, sure. I can't believe we're at... You got a question before I wrap it?
No, I
No?
need to give
Yes.
shouts out because I see we got Sharpie on the horn. We got Luke O'Brien. What's happening over there in New York City? We got
He's working extremely hard.
No, he's
and,
not. He's fast asleep.
No, he's working 24 hours a day.
I think the first people he met in New York were my parents,
Awesome.
so he'll remember that. And then Adam Powell.
Yes,
The-
Adam's.
the name from,
Adam
Other
works for
Times.
me. Yep.
And then we almost did a project with Curtis Bartlett. But
Okay.
it didn't pan out.
Welcome
But
to the name dropping show.
Absolutely.
Where
You've
we-
mentioned
where
some
we
great
mention
people there.
names
It's not a good
every
people,
week.
man.
No, good man.
No, I think that it would be worthwhile actually having you back at some point because some of the work you guys are doing and the data you uncover and just talking about the kind of trends that emerge, what people do in this world. Like, there's so many differences between what's happened on Facebook 5 years ago to today. The consumption of content and what content is going out. Daily Telegraph versus News.com.au versus the Australian. I used to be at News Corp, so I know that you walk in there and there's these walls of screens of headlines and just begin discerning the kinds of content that are being pushed out. It's not the same content all day. There's science behind it. There's reasons why certain content goes to certain people. So, you guys certainly are sitting behind the scenes on that.
Absolutely. We did some research, actually, and just on that, it's definitely worth mentioning. But with the issues that were uncovered with Facebook earlier this year, one of the bits of research that we did was we asked a big chunk of our panel if they were concerned about data privacy, especially with Facebook. Would they do something about it? And would they consider closing their Facebook account? What it came back to us with was about half of the people that responded did say that they were concerned or would consider closing their
that's a big
Facebook
whack,
account.
eh?
But what we did notice that the vast majority of them went and adjusted their privacy settings on Facebook. So, if
Try
you
out
think of
that
trends,
data well just a little bit more.
Yep, absolutely. So I think, consumers are, concerned about what data they're sharing, how that's being used. And if I talk about Purprofile, because we deliver a fair value exchange for people sharing their data, they get paid.
That's a good thing.
For,
It's a good way to end it off.
And they control it as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Look, Aryeh extended it. I'm going to reiterate. We definitely want to hear more about Audience Republic. First Rung
First Rung and Brandolo.
and Brand Dollar.
Yes.
I'll take anything that has the word dollar in it as well. So I'm got except Zimbabwean.
Brandolo. Sorry.
Dolo.
Might be
Dolo.
my Australian accent, but
Dolo.
Brandolo is
Brandolo.
the one to go and have a look at.
I hope it turns into dollars.
Me too.
We got to wrap it up, Sharpie. Thank you, as always. And until next week, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.